So let's go over. I posted the numbers, I think Saturday, or it might have been Sunday. Sunday. Boom. Numbers last week, we had 5 people, 18 or better. So I'm proud to see Jamila, who's in the eye doctor, led the way in presentations. I was second place presentations. My Shara, where's Mike at? Is Mike on there?
He's on.
Okay. Quinn over 3,000. The Matrix boys have a goal of 50 door knocks each. I see that on there. Encourage you guys to also keep that sit ratio or Prezi ratio tight. But it was our 10th best week of the year. So, you know, I'm excited, but not too excited. We had some people do well, but we want everyone doing well. And especially as we grow and we're adding some new people, it's going to take a lot of work from all of us, managers included, in trying to keep our team average solid where it's at, because we don't want to be top heavy ever. We want everyone being successful here, taking care of their family. But 26,000 last week, we were number one. I'm going to find the national numbers now each week and put us in that bracket, because we're already at the top here, not getting much of a push. We want to zoom out like we always talk about and compare ourselves amongst other groups who are similar to us and pushing forward. But 26,000, I ain't mad at it, because I remember days when it was far less, but we got to keep moving upward. Back up. Numbers for the year. These are directly from corporate. I highlighted a little bit just so that I could visually see the different hierarchies, but you know, we're fully transparent organizations. So this is the team numbers. My Shara is leading the way. You're on pace to issue over 200,000, which is amazing. And I believe the female agent of the year last year was just over that number. I think she was like a 225, Stacey Tanksley. And I just love your numbers. You know, no disrespect to anybody else, but I just love your numbers and your approach a lot better. Your net pace is for 160,000. And you guys can do this for each of you just by multiplying it ×4. But this is just the first quarter of the year. We want to get better as we go, but it's not a bad start. If we're talking about start, we have 3 people on pace for 120K club. I'm wearing a shirt right now that we handed out at the end of our annual meeting. Mike, you're right on the line there. You're on pace for 120 issued, but you know, I think the line there for a little bit of financial freedom for everyone is that 120K club. So I do, want everyone shooting for that. Kayla, Mitchell, Seth, Quinn, some of our part-time folks start down from there, but it's just the first quarter. Some of you haven't been here a full 3 months yet or 2 months, but that's the numbers there. You can measure it up and then multiply. We're at around 100,000 issued a month, which is 1.2 million for a year. We want to be 1 million net though. And we're 250 is what we need to be on pace for that. So we're slightly behind that for net, but I do think we'll pick it up here the second half of the year, moving into the second quarter. But that is the numbers there. And then I want to do a bonus. So kind of put that on here, which we'll get into that. But the company trip is 180K for the full. They'll be paying for your trip to Vegas for the meeting next year, for conference next year. They will be doing some other ones that they haven't announced yet. I think there will be one for 120K and then another one for above 200 for extra time in Vegas. But you want to be shooting for 15K. Want to hit the company bonus. Gorilla group, anybody over 100K, and then if you do 200K, you're definitely a GOAT at NASB. Part-time folks, I put 80,000. Doing it, really want to take advantage of the time you have. We talked last week about being intentional with whatever amount of time you're going to be investing. So 80K club, from a commission standpoint, you should be making, 50 to 60K, which most of America doesn't do that from a self-employed standpoint. that is the numbers. The theme for the rest of today, though, is going to be what I call Naked and Afraid. Not what I call. There's a TV show. Does anybody other than me and Zach know Naked and Afraid?
Yeah, I know it.
Seth, okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I know it.
Mike, all right. For those of Quinn, okay. So I watch the show a lot. I'm gonna play this little teaser here. The quality isn't good, but the rest of them that I found were.
One man and one woman, both experienced survivalists, have chosen to put their skills to the ultimate test. No water and no food. Their challenge is to survive for 21 days. Can a man and woman survive alone in the wilderness? Naked and Afraid? A new series premieres Tuesday, 17th of December.
All right, Naked and Afraid, all right? So it's a show where two strangers, they come together, they're meeting for the first time, they're getting dropped into an uncomfortable situation where they have to survive for anywhere from 14 days to 21 days, depending on the all right? They have no food, no water. They generally get to each pick one item to bring, and then the show, they give them like a pot or something like that, or something to start a fire. Some of them, they don't give them anything, all right? And I've been watching this show for years, but it had me thinking about our business, or someone coming into insurance for the first time, or entrepreneurship for the first time. It can definitely feel like you on an episode of Naked and Afraid, right? Especially if you're coming into an organization, you're meeting new people. Let's say you're an introvert and you get dropped in a situation, you're meeting a bunch of new faces, and now you're sizing yourself. There's these feelings. And on top of all of that, you got to figure out how to do insurance and take care of your family, right? And we recently had two people on our team make it the sales manager. But they started just like the rest of them. They were dropped in day one, and then their journey began. And the definition of journey, I looked it up. It's an act of traveling from one place to another. All right. And on our team, we started as an agent, right? You start as an agent. The goal and the hope is that you move beyond agent to that sales manager level, but it's a journey. I don't know if most of you realize it, but it's a journey that you embark on when you start here. All right. We have a system that you can duplicate. There's a bit of a roadmap, and you do have a guide as in the form of a coach almost. But by and large, you got to fill in the gaps. So I want to go to Zach and Shara for a bit of a little interview on just your journeys that you guys have been on. Zach, your last year was your first full year with us. Shara, that was your first full year full time with us. So you guys are on a similar path and journey. Let me pull out my questions here. But first of all, congratulations to you both. You guys did it one after the other. Super proud of you guys. But if we're talking about being naked and afraid, all right, and the journey that you guys have been on from the agent level, I'll go to you first, Shara. What are 3 words that symbolize your journey through, the AG level, AG3, AG2, AG1, and now sales manager? What are 3 words that you would use to symbolize the journey?
Okay, so the first word I want to say is green. I came in 2021. That was right kind of when COVID was crazy, and the whole country was kind of like on edge and unsure about the future and all that kind of stuff. And so I came out of a situation that was kind of bad for me, and I came in. This was going to be a new career change for me. So I was green with excitement. I was ready to do whatever. I'm just like, okay, let's do this. Completely green, like don't know anything, no sales experience, no any kind of no field experience. I've always been in a building. And it was always just kind of like me and my class. I mean, I dealt with the faculty somewhat, but it was just really me doing my thing. So complete walking up to strangers and all that was just all brand new, and I was green. Yeah, green. That moved, I would say 6 months. That word changed, and it changed to frustration. I was always frustrated and always doubting myself and doubting, was this the right move? Is this for me? Am I the type of person that can succeed? I'm seeing all these people blasting these numbers all over GroupMe, and I'm like, well, damn, when is it gonna be my time? That was my 6 months to 8 months in. And then it even that doubt lasted quite a while. And it went to the point where I got really frustrated, and I stopped. I stopped doing it, and I went back to work to 9 to 5. And then so that was hell. And then I came back to NASB, and my new word was vision and focus. And now coming back after realizing, going back to the 9 to 5, going back to the job and coming back, it's now going to be a focused vision where I'm getting ready to listen to what every coach have to tell me. Ty, Derek, Brian, the people on the Monday call, them people. I'm not only just listening to the call now, I'm writing notes down. I'm applying what I wrote down. So it's now a vision and a focus, because I don't really like let the ship go. So this gotta work. So it went from green, frustration, and vision and focus.
I love that. Naked and afraid, from green, vision, focus is where you are now. Zach, same question. 3 words that symbolize your journey through the AG level, sir.
My 3 words are urgency, mandatory, and simple. When I first got here, you know, I didn't start at AG3, and the commission sucked. It sucked. It was really bad.
Right?
What?
AG4,
AG5, which ain't much different than AG6. Most of the carries are the same from 6 and 5, but I picked this up pretty quick. I was writing what a lot of you write now, you know, but my commission, you know, after $8,000 was like $2,200. So for me, especially after spending all that money on leads, you know, after I got put to AG3, just because, I mean, I was buying all my own leads, it made 0 sense for me to be there. I had already had the frustration of, I'm not making as much as the top ranked people are making, you know, on agent levels at least. And I was in a tough spot financially, you know, with debt, and I needed to get rid of it. So every time I would get paid, I found myself calculating what I would be paid if I was at AG1. So that's where the urgency came in. Okay. Right. And the urgency simply because I had to, but mandatory became out of frustration from calculating my numbers at AG1. It's nonsense to not be at AG1 when we all have the ability to. I'm sorry. I'm not anyone that's not there. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just loving on you, as Brian likes to say. You know, you deserve more. And it's my last word for this is simple, because it is. If you're doing everything the way that we teach it, at least on our team, if you're doing it exactly how we teach you how to do it, AG1 numbers are, you could do that in your sleep. We all, for the most part, on our top 5, do it in our sleep. You know, last month wasn't the best month for me. I still did 17 grand, you know, and it's not that my activity was more. I'd say my activity is probably lower than a lot of y'all's, but eventually you get good enough to where it becomes simple, right? So if you're not at AG1, when you have the tools to be at AG1, at that point, I would say there's a little bit of complacency, like we talked about today on the national call. So urgency, mandatory, and simple. That's my
mandatory, simple. And I think the urgency that you described is because, you know, you zoomed out and you see what you need to make, and then the opportunity of it, right? I always say NASB isn't designed for anyone to really stay at AG3. That's just a what happens to some people, unfortunately. It's actually designed for you to start, learn your way, learn how to become an agent and become a good one, and then get paid for it, and then move on into sales manager if that's what you decide. So that urgency, I do love that. And then the vision that you talked about, Maishara, as well. Next question. Did you guys have to make changes in your personal life along this journey, that took, it's a little over a year for you both from where you started to where you are now? Did you guys have to make some changes in as you as a personal, maybe in your personal life, restructure things in order to do that? I'll go back to you, Maishar.
Yeah, so I guess one of the that I guess kind of contributed to my success or growth. The biggest one was having a strict morning routine. That's something that I learned from people on the call. And that was key to doing well in this business. And that morning routine included just a set time for prayer and meditation, and exercise, and then about a half an hour of pre like NASB prep. Once that was put into place, I think it made my day go by smoother. Everything kind of just moved along, and it just made it where I didn't really have to do a lot of thinking about my day. I just can just walk out the house. Everything's already prepared and lined up, and I just go. Second thing was a huge mind shift of not really focusing and being about the money all the time. That was a lot of my frustration in the first year was the money, and I was really focused on that. And then when I stopped focusing on it and just, hey, just walk out the house. All you got to do, because my biggest challenge was actually leaving the house. So just get out the house, get in the car, and go first door, and whatever happens, happens. You're just out and you're just helping people and you're developing yourself. So when it no longer became about the money, how much money I need to make per week, I don't know, it got easier. The presentations weren't a stress. I guess what Zach said, I didn't have like commission breath. And it was easy going. So that's it. Changing my mindset about the money and having a strict morning routine.
Right. Organization. It sounds like you organize and compartmentalize your day and what's important and what's not in order to get started, right?
Oh yeah.
Is huge here, and something that when you're starting a journey, depending on where you came from, if you worked 9 to 5 before, or where somebody organizes your stuff for you and they tell you, look, you got to show up at 9. And then when you get from 9 to 5, you don't got to think. We're going to tell you exactly what you got to do. But here you got to do that for yourself. And it's really hard to be able to walk out the door and just go to work like you described if you don't have your mornings structured. Zach, same thing. Any changes in your personal life along the journey?
For AG levels, unfortunately, I did not change anything about myself. I could say fortunately and unfortunately. I feel it's possible that I could be further along than I am right now if I had made some changes earlier. I didn't start making changes or even considering viewing the perspective of change in my life until about November of last year, which I was already AG1. Now, pretty much that means from
out of AG without making changes, though.
Well, I made it through my natural qualities of competition with myself and with others, and a lot of that, looking back, I mean, I can be pretty toxic when I'm I have a toxic mindset. Like, through the entire chase of the AG levels, I used to just make stuff up in my head to chase. Like I would. Now that can be helpful, but it can be hindering as well, because you find yourself swinging for the fence in a lot of these houses. But I'm okay with knowing that I didn't make any changes yet, because it's just part of learning and growth. But the chase through AG levels, and then when I started to step back and look at perspective on what I should change in my life to make myself go further, it taught me a lot. Chasing AG levels to the hardships through it, or the frustrations, not hardships, but just frustrations through it, did start to the entire last year, really, I equate to being the biggest growth I've ever had in my life from a personal perspective. Just find about myself, understanding things about myself, what I want to be, what I don't want to be, and then just having a huge setback last year in September and October. That really is what kind of drove me to where I'm at now mentally, which I feel like I'm the best version of myself I've ever been. And I hope to continue that.
I love that. That's something that we don't ever, especially like for some of you that are just getting started right now, you don't really think that. It's not even on your radar. You're just trying to figure out how to make enough money to pay your bills at doing this when you get started. And you don't think about the stretching that's going to happen to you in order for you to survive here, right? The word that we use a lot is capacity, that increase, but it's a byproduct of you aiming high, right? You won't increase your capacity if you're not trying to advance, right? And we have the AG levels to help you advance, but if it's something that happens, and it's been great to watch you both do that. Now, knowing what you guys know now, right? We're talking about naked and afraid, right? Like, you got to survive, you got to make it. On the show, they're allowed to bring one item, right, and put it in their bag. Like, some people get some duct tape. I saw recently, a lady had a machete. But if we're talking about insurance, entrepreneurship, NASB, insurance broker, what would you guys put in your bag, knowing what you know now? If you had to go back and like, look, I'm starting this journey, I'm gonna make sure I have this thing or this purse or whatever it is in this bag. Shar, what you packing?
So that was a tough question, because there's so many different things that you can put in a bag. But if you limit it down to just 2 items, the 2 things you absolutely need, I believe, to survive in this business, one is the will to work. You got to be willing to work. If you're kind of lazy, kind of don't want to do it, that's going to be a problem from you surviving the business. And second is listening and applying whatever you're coaching. So you gotta listen to coaching, and you gotta apply coaching. So if it's 2 things that you absolutely need, is the will to work and listening and applying coaching, I think. And
Coachable,
right.
And gotta have that dog in your chest. I love that.
Everybody don't start off with the dog, you know what I mean? But if you work, hey, you know what? I'm just going to get out here and go to work and listen and apply with coaching. You might develop that dog later on, but everybody don't necessarily have to be that dog in the beginning. I don't think I was a dog in the beginning. I just want to work. No, I wasn't.
All right, sure. The will to work, and then the ability to take and apply coaching.
Yeah.
What are you putting in your bag, sir?
Well, before I get to what I'm taking, because you had sent me the questions beforehand and I prepared answers for them. So I wanted to touch on real quick for, the changes that were made for moving forward in the quality and 2 things that you're taking. One thing I want to say is me and Ty were on a phone call in November of last year, and it was at like 12 o'clock at night. I wrote it down. It's still on my desk. I always forget it, so I might mess it up. But we had said that in order to become the person that you're supposed to be, you must make changes to your current self, right? So your current self has to go through changes to become the person that you're supposed to be, right? Which means, unfortunately and uncomfortably, we've got to let go of things that are hindering us to be that are in the way of us becoming the person that we're supposed to be. right? Like I was in a house with Seth a couple of months ago, and the lady looked at me across the table. She had said she saw me in a dream the night before and all this stuff. And she looked at me and she said, God wants your whole heart. Wants your whole heart. It's time to stop running. He has so much more for you. And to link that up to what I just said, there are things that are in our way that we put in our own way that are hindering us from that next level. And I did make some changes this year. Like I got rid of the e-cig, and it's no coincidence that immediately after that I hit SM3. I find that to be crazy because you know the question of what is one quality that you have that has helped you get to SM3, I would say resilience. I missed SM3 twice. And the third time that I'm up for it, I no longer have the e-cig. Not saying that that's the exact reason, but it is something that made me better. And now I'm at the next level, right?
That's
So,
awesome.
you know, right now I'm on a 30-day fast from alcohol. I don't think I've gone 30 days without alcohol in like 4 years, guys. You know, not to say that I drink every night, but it is something that, you know, we're not millionaires, right? I heard Grant Cardone say this one time. He said he stopped drinking for 7 years because he was out having cocktails or, you know, whiskey after a day of work. And it kind of clicked on him one day, like, I haven't made it yet. I'm out here, you know, at these drinking champagne and I'm broke. I'm not worth millions of dollars. So I don't know. I always like that saying, but quality would be resilience. And then the two things that I'm taking with me on a desert island for what we do would be, it's simple. It's leads and the 10 steps, right? Because without them, there is no success in what we do. And we are in a position at NASB where we can have as many leads as we want for the most part. It's a little dry right now. I know that. So kind of contradicting, but for the most part throughout the year, there's as many leads as you want. You know, with leads in 10 steps and even being mediocre at the 10 steps, you can make a really good living here. So if we're not buying leads, we don't know the 10 steps, you know, what are we doing?
Will to work, be coachable, 10 steps, leads. I don't think those 4 things, I'm glad you guys said that. End up really good. That's a roadmap to survive, really, to get started, not just survive, but now you start pushing into the line of thrival here. And we say on our team, we're not here to survive or just get by everyone. That's not what we're doing here. We're not about that. We don't coach that. We don't believe in that. It's about having some surplus, like Zach would say, having in a place where you've got more than enough so that you can be helpful to others, right? So that you can help your family out, so that you can become more of who you're supposed to be. It's hard to do that when you're in survival mode, right? You got to have some peace of mind in order to start working on yourself. My Shar,
that's just crazy how though that our answer to that was really like just the 4 C's. That's crazy. It really was. We didn't plan that.
I think they call that a mastermind. I don't know.
It's a mastermind. My Shar, though, your last crack, if you had to narrow it down to one quality about yourself, that is why you're a sales manager, you know, what would that quality be? Zach, you said yours was resiliency, right?
Yep, my bad, I jumped.
That's all right.
No worries. What is your quality? What is that if you could narrow it down? There's 100, but you know, if you were to say there were one.
It's not one word, it's a little phrase, but I say, I'm sorry, give me a second. Hello? Yeah, I'm gonna call you back. I'm busy. Okay, it's complete buy-in. So complete buy-in is just like fully 100% in. I remember Brian, it was almost, I don't know if he was teasing me, but he was just kind of highlighting how I would get on the plane and go to the Texas conferences, and the conferences only would be one day. And whoever was speaking, if there was a speaker, if there was a learning opportunity, if there was something NASB, I was there because I wanted to soak in and learn and get and you know, just learn as much as I absolutely can so I can get better. I always wanted to get better. So I don't know the word to describe that, but just a complete all around buy-in into NASB, attending every conference, on every call. I'm religious about being on every call. I still to this day take notes, even though we on the call, some of the things can be a little repetitive. I still to this day take notes on the call. And I follow what my coaches tell me to do, even if I don't really agree with it. They've been in the business a long time. They know they've been through the frustrations I've already been through or haven't even got to yet. So whatever they say, I do it. And so that's mine. I think that's what it is, complete buy-in.
And it sounds like commitment, right?
Commitment.
Like you're fully committed to this. You said the word, the ship is, your old ship sail, you've let it go, but that's very important to launch really anything. You're not going to be able to fully run forward if you're looking sideways and backwards, right? If you're running a race, guys, and the gun goes off, and when you start running, you're looking around, the person who's looking straight ahead and who's focused, they're focusing on their technique and they got their eyes on where they're going, they're going to dust you. And it's not just about that, but you should be doing that yourself. And if I were to encourage or give you guys any advice, piggybacking off of what Zach has said about resiliency and what she said about being committed, those are two things that you're going to need if you want to survive. That when you start naked and afraid, right, how you can turn that into a sense of calm and peace and understanding and capacity and growth, personal development, and you're getting better and you have more. You're going to need all these things that they've mentioned, and it's coming directly from people who've done it, right? They're the other than myself on our team, 2 other people now have done it, and there's 7 other people on this call, and if you take these lessons and you apply them, we should have 10. Right, we should shoot for 100%. I want this for everybody. That's the goal for everybody is to continue to move forward and to grow. We're going to end it there. If you guys will post your goals, presentation goal and AP goal in the chat. I appreciate you guys being on. Thank you, Zach and Myshar. Congratulations again. But have a big Monday. Set yourself up for a big week. How?
Oh.
Oh.